Happy Easter. Christ is risen, and he's come out of his cave. And he is with all of us now, saying, peace be with you. And in our hearts, there is this yearning to be able to say, hallelujah. Like we lived that Paschal flame last night, and we saw people from all around the country gathered together, celebrating Easter together. And our hearts were set on fire. Our neighborhoods were set on fire. And yet, as I was looking at this cave behind me and contemplating Christ coming out of that cave triumphant, part of my heart was a little bit sad. I was a little sad because we're still kind of in our caves. We're still kind of in our upper rooms. And we're still, it's almost like it just hasn't quite hit. But I think we need to stop, and I think we need to look at something. There's been something marvelous that has happened in our lives that is unbelievable, and we don't want to run the risk of missing this. We just finished 21 days of daily missions. All of you have been pouring love, Christ's love, walking with Christ, pouring that love into your families and into your neighborhoods. Last night we saw an outpouring of that in your own neighborhoods. You know, God gave us Sunday. God gave us the Lord's Day. God commanded the Lord's Day so that we rest with God, but not just rest with God, that we celebrate his creation and celebrate his new creation and his redemption inside of each of us. Every Sunday is a celebration of Christ resurrecting in our lives. But also, like the first apostles, you know, if you notice, they stayed in that upper room for 50 days for fear of the Jews, for things that were holding them back. The unpacking of the power of the resurrection and of Christ's resurrection, it takes time in us. It's like a little mustard seed. We can look at all of those things, we can celebrate all those things, which I invite all of us to do today. But we also have to recognize it takes time to unpack. But I want us to stop and think about something. Christ in his life did wonders, did miracles, changed so many lives in his brief life. But when he resurrected, and when the Spirit of the Lord came upon his apostles, they did wonders far greater than his. And in fact, he told them they would. Because it was Christ working in them to transform the world. It was Christ pouring out his resurrection in them, and that resurrection taking shape in their lives that made them just on fire. And that fire caught all over the world. That tiny Paschal flame that we saw yesterday is an image of what's going on in our hearts. We had a little mustard seed of the 21 days. But that fire will catch throughout all of our neighborhoods and throughout all of the world in a powerful way, in a healing way, in a way in which Christ will transform not just our lives, not just the lives of our neighbors, but the lives of the whole world. And not just shallowly, but profoundly and deeply. At the beginning of this mission, we started off with the idea of missions are not being canceled. They're simply shifting and expanding. And so now I say to all of you, missions are not ending. They're simply shifting and expanding. And today I'd like to invite all of us to celebrate the great things that God has done with us. Sing with Mary her Magnificat. Sing Alleluia. Shout Alleluia to your streets. Wave Alleluia to your neighbors. But also, we'll see you Monday for our new mission that is shifting and expanding. God bless you. Happy Easter and Alleluia.